It's that time of the year that oil leaks develop. The cold weather and the old age of the oil cooler seal causes oil leaks, and it can be quite severe depending on how badly the seal either cracks or fails. So you could lose quite a lot of oil on the highway. You see there's oil squirting here. Sometimes it's an oil pressure switch. The switch is right here. Here's the boot. All you do is pull back on the boot. This one's sitting nice and tight. I do feel, maybe I don't. I thought I felt some oil there. So what I'm going to do is just pull it off if I can. And look behind the boot. Connector's nice and clean, so it's not going to be an oil pressure sensor issue. I'm just going to quickly clean this with brake clean and then start it up, but I'm quite sure that it is the oil cooler seal here. This is the oil cooler. Oh, I'm so sorry, actually it's a heat exchanger. I wouldn't want to get a certain someone upset or get his panties in a bunch. So this is the oil cooler. In order to change the seal, remove the oil filter. Sorry, heat exchanger, I said it again. No, didn't I? Doesn't matter. Remove the oil filter, remove the nut, remove the pipe. On this one, if you don't have the pipe extractor, actually you don't need it, sorry. These hoses are long enough so that once the oil filter is away, the nut is off, this heat exchanger will slide down the pipe and then you can change the seal. Anyways, let me just wash this off a bit and then we'll start it and we'll see where the oil comes out. If I'm lucky, it'll squirt me right in the face. Yeah. On it! Shut it off! Jesus. I was joking that it was going to hit me in the face, and sure enough it did.
It's really going, eh?
Yep. Yeah. Place a drip tray under the car. If you can't get the oil filter off by hand, use a filter remover and a ratchet, provided it don't bite. Ugh. Once the filter is loose, you can turn it by hand. .27mm. You can now lower the cooler over the pipe. And remove the seal using a small screwdriver or pick. And you can see the seal broke. It already has a crack, and that's where it was leaking. And you can see how flat it is. Let's use some brake clean. Clean the flange surface, or the mounting flange surface. Very common item, so we stock a lot of them. You can actually, this is the VR6 outer cap seal. You can see it's got flat edges or square corners on the outside. You can actually use these too. I've had it before where one of these doesn't really seal anymore, probably due to the cooler or whatever mating surface is not sealing correctly. And installing one of these, it's slightly thicker. It doesn't have the locking tabs, but that doesn't matter. So if you have one of these that's leaking, even a new one, try the VR6 seal. You don't have to use any type of sealant on the O-ring. This is assembly lube. This is a force of habit for me that I use. You can put the seal on dry. Well, actually no, you don't want to put it on dry. At minimum, use some engine oil and just lubricate it a little bit. Okay. And push the the heat exchanger back up. And tighten the nut back up. This needs to be tight, not too tight, just tight enough to be tight. It's a bit of a weird angle, so just take your time. Before I drove it in, I added 1.5 liters of oil, and you just saw me check it after putting the heat exchanger seal back on, and there's nothing registering, so I'm just going to do a whole oil change. You want to fill the oil filter. It doesn't have to be completely full, but maybe 3/4 full. And you want to lube. You want to lube the seal. The oil filter, you would just want to go hand tight, and then maybe 1/4 to 1/2 a turn. Or whatever the instructions are that came with the filter. Yeah, I'm going to raise it and drain the rest of the oil from the oil pan. A lot of these connectors go missing over time. People don't put them in correctly. See all the oil here. It was obviously leaking for a while. We're going to make a note of the fact that it came in with pretty much no oil. That way, if the turbo goes within 6 months, there's history of the car having been run low on oil. Oh. There's hardly anything coming out, and that's pretty much as much oil that I put in the system. I'm going to shampoo the whole area here later. I'll put everything back together, shampoo from the top, and then rinse it all off. There's the intercooler. This one's never been drained before. Let's have a look. Just pick a low spot on the cooler. Oil could be in here as well, but that's no big deal. This is actually looking pretty good already. If it were a steady stream, that would tell me already that there's, it hasn't even been drained for a while, or that there is a PCV or turbo issue. But this looks like it's quite normal. Okay, that's pretty much it. Once that stops draining, you put a little screw in there to seal it up. New washer for the drain plug, and like I said, shampoo it and it's good to go again. Since we're doing a type of basically an oil change service on it, I'm just going to check tire pressure, brakes, suspension, give it a good once over in case there's anything else that needs attention. So this is just a little wood screw or self-tapping screw, and it just has to be a little bit bigger than the 1/8 inch hole that I drilled. That way it bites into the plastic and it remains seated. And it comes with a little washer. So again, you can use whatever you like. If you make a bigger hole, you need a bigger screw. You can see this one pretty much stopped dripping right now. There's barely anything in there still. And this does not cause any boost leaks, and it doesn't cause any damage to the engine, to the turbo, drilling the little hole. You can watch one of my other videos, my rant. I just clean it off. New drain plug washer. Okay, that's it. Like I said, I'm going to shampoo this thing and then check for any other leaks, but 90% of the time that's all it was. The oil cooler, sorry, heat exchanger seal. What else? Yeah, put oil in. It probably will be noisy a little bit for the first couple of minutes because the system was somewhat empty, air in the hydraulics, in the hydraulic lifters, but that should take care of it again. And like I said, we'll still have a note about the turbo, any type of future damage down the road due to the low running oil condition. Okay, so I might as well show the rest of it. This is what is called adding oil to the engine. I'm using a funnel. And then you want to maybe fill 4 liters and then use the dipstick to check how much oil is in there. You want to then start the engine, let it run for a couple of minutes or at least 30 seconds, shut it off, use that dipstick and check the oil level again, add some more if you need it, How much oil does it take? Well, that's what the dipstick's for. At minimum, add 3 liters, 3.5, and then use the dipstick. You can see it's reading a little high right now. It's because the filter is not fully full. Start it up, make sure the oil light goes out. The oil light is this little red one. You might hear the engine, how noisy it is. You can hear it ticking, but it's getting quieter already. And you can see that there's no more leak at this point. So that's good. Shut it off. Use that dipstick. It's right about there. A little bit on the high side. I'm not afraid to admit that. No big deal. Those lifters are going to pump up some more. It's going to drop a little bit. Make sure the level sensor is plugged in. Oh, come on. Okay, am I done? Pretty much. Shampoo, like I said, I'm just gonna take the shampoo, spray it all up in there, and then rinse the whole, or rinse all that area off. Thanks for watching.